The power you're most afraid of doesn't roar. It doesn't shout from rooftops or flex in boardrooms. It moves like mist through a cracked door. Silent, cold, inevitable. You don't hear it coming. You only feel it when it's already rearranged your life, while you are still apologizing for taking up space. Most people spend their lives believing the world rewards patience, kindness, fairness. That if they just color inside the lines, keep their head down, say please and thank you, everything will work out. And then one day, someone walks in, calm, unreadable, utterly unbothered by your rules, and takes what they want without blinking. No drama, no warning, just efficiency wrapped in silence. That's when you realize the game was never fair. The rules weren't written to protect you. They were designed to keep you predictable. 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli didn't invent ruthlessness. He simply had the courage to name it, to peel back the velvet curtain of polite society and show the gears grinding underneath. People called him evil, a monster, a teacher of tyranny. But here's the uncomfortable truth. He wasn't teaching people how to become cruel. He was showing them how to stop being prey. This isn't about morality. It's not about right or wrong. It's about seeing the battlefield clearly while everyone else is still arguing over the rule book. Because whether you acknowledge it or not, ruthless power exists. It operates in your office, your relationships, your negotiations, your family dynamics. And those who wield it aren't waiting for your permission. They're calculating, observing, positioning, while you're still wondering why no one respects your boundaries. Let's be brutally honest. The system doesn't punish rule breakers. It punishes the wrong kind of rule breakers. Break rules at the bottom. You get fired, shamed, ostracized. Break rules at the top. You get corner offices, private jets, biographies written about you. The powerful don't play by your rules. They write new ones, and they don't want you reading the fine print. So ask yourself this: are you going to keep pretending the world plays fair? Or are you finally ready to see the game for what it really is? I need you to drop this in the comments right now. I see the board. Not the pieces, the board. Because once you see the structure, you stop being a pawn. Let's start with the first lie you've been sold. That kindness equals strength. You can be the most generous person in the room. You can hold doors, remember birthdays, cover shifts, forgive slights, give second chances, third chances, 10th chances. And what happens? People don't admire you. They test you. They push further. They take more. Why? Because ruthlessness doesn't interpret kindness as virtue. It interprets it as availability, as vulnerability, as an open invitation to extract value without consequence. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." Translation: perception beats reality every time. If you appear soft, you'll be treated as soft, regardless of how strong you actually are. Strength isn't about volume. It's not about aggression. It's about boundaries so clear, so non-negotiable, that people instinctively step back before crossing them. Weak people react. They cry. They plead. They beg for fairness. Strong people respond. They observe. They calculate. They act only when it serves their purpose. And when they do, it's decisive. There's a phenomenon psychologists call the doormat effect. The more you accommodate, the less respect you earn. Not more, less. Because humans are wired to assign value based on scarcity. If your time, energy, approval, and forgiveness are limitless, they become worthless. Ruthless people know this instinctively. They don't try to be liked. They focus on being respected. They set boundaries early and enforce them without apology. No warnings, no second chances, one strike, and the relationship recalibrates. And people adapt fast, not because they're scared, but because they now understand the cost of disrespect. You don't have to become heartless, but you must stop being harmless. In a world full of predators, goldfish don't survive. They decorate aquariums. The choice isn't between good and evil. It's between being used or being untouchable. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Did you swallow it? Did you rationalize it? Did you tell yourself, it's not that big a deal? That's not maturity. That's surrender. Strong people don't ignore disrespect. They address it immediately, calmly, clearly, irrevocably. No anger, no theatrics, just a quiet reset of terms. I need you to drop this in the comments. Strength over approval. Say it like a vow, because every time you choose comfort over clarity, you give away a piece of your power. Now let's talk about God mode. The mental state where ruthless people live. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's pure detachment. Imagine standing in the middle of a hurricane and feeling nothing but calm. No guilt, no fear of judgment, no desperate need for validation. You see the situation exactly as it is, not as you wish it were. Decisions are made based on logic, strategy, outcome, not emotion, obligation, or social expectation. Most people can't access this state because they're addicted to external validation. They need people to like them, to praise them, to reassure them they're good people. That need is a leash, and whoever holds the leash controls the dog. Ruthless people don't need anything from anyone. They operate from radical self-sufficiency. They make their own rules, define their own worth. They don't ask for permission, and they never apologize for winning. This isn't sociopathy, it's sovereignty. They feel emotions, anger, hurt, fear. But they don't let those emotions hijack their decisions. Think of a trauma surgeon in the ER. A child is dying on the table. The parents are screaming. The clock is ticking. Does the surgeon cry, panic, beg the universe for mercy? No, they detach. They focus. They act with absolute precision because emotion would kill the patient. That's God mode. Apply it to your life. How many opportunities have you passed up because you were afraid of seeming selfish? How many times have you silenced your truth to keep the peace? Every one of those moments was a voluntary surrender of power. Machiavelli said, "Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great." When you're truly committed, not conflicted, not half-hearted, obstacles evaporate. But most people aren't committed. They're confused. They want success, but also universal admiration. They want influence, but also to be seen as humble. That internal war paralyzes them. God mode ends it. You decide what matters. You go all in. Everything else becomes noise. Here's how to enter it. First, stop explaining yourself. When you make a decision, own it. Don't justify it to people who won't live with the consequences. Don't seek approval from those who've never walked your path. Act, and let results speak louder than words. Second, practice emotional observation. When anger rises, don't react. Step back. Watch it like a scientist. Ask, is this useful right now? If yes, channel it. If no, let it pass. You're not suppressing emotion. You're mastering it. Third, delete the word should from your vocabulary. I should be nicer. I should care more. Says who? Who wrote that rule? And more importantly, does it serve you or control you? God mode is clarity. It's seeing 3 moves ahead while others are still reacting to move 1. And once you're there, you realize something terrifying. Most people are transparent. Their emotions make them predictable. Their need for approval makes them manipulatable. Their fear of conflict makes them easy to steer. You don't need to be cruel. You just need to be awake. You think power needs a spotlight. You've been conditioned to believe that influence means being loud, visible, center stage. The one giving speeches, taking credit, demanding attention. That's not power. That's performance. Real power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need applause. It moves in shadows, in silence, in spaces between breaths, shaping outcomes while everyone else is still arguing over who gets the microphone. Ruthless people don't chase recognition. They chase results. And when you stop needing credit, you become dangerous. Because no one sees you coming until it's too late. Think about your workplace. Who actually holds the strings? Not necessarily the person with the biggest title or the loudest voice. It's the quiet one in the corner. The one who never interrupts, never complains, never volunteers for anything unnecessary. The one who listens more than they speak. That person knows where the bodies are buried. They understand the hidden networks. They know which favors matter, which alliances shift tectonic plates, which whispers travel faster than memos. They operate invisibly, but their fingerprints are on everything. Machiavelli wrote, "He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." People see what they expect to see. They assume the loud ones are in charge. They mistake visibility for authority, and those assumptions create blind spots. Gaps you can slip through like smoke. Invisible power isn't about manipulation. It's about positioning. It's about planting seeds instead of shouting orders. It's about framing choices so that when someone decides freely, they choose exactly what you needed them to choose. How? Control the context, shape the information, limit the options, but make it feel like abundance. Suddenly, their autonomy becomes your advantage. Ruthless people don't dominate through force. They dominate through architecture. They design environments where the path of least resistance leads straight to their goal. Think of water. It doesn't fight the rock. It flows around it, finds the cracks, wears it down over time. Quiet, patient, unstoppable. That's invisible power. And when things go wrong, no one blames them because no one saw them there. Plausible deniability isn't cowardice. It's strategy. Clean hands, clear conscience, maximum impact. This isn't about dishonesty. It's about choosing when to be seen and when to vanish. Sometimes you want the trophy. Sometimes you just want the win. The ruthless decide based on outcome, not ego. I need you to drop this in the comments. Silent and strategic. Whisper it like a secret, because secrets are the currency of invisible power. Now let's dismantle another myth, that fear is weakness. You've been told fear is something to overcome, to suppress, to apologize for. Ruthless people know better. Fear isn't a flaw. It's a tool, not the cheap kind. Screaming, threatening, bullying. That's noise. That's insecurity masquerading as strength. Real fear is psychological. It lives in the mind long after you've left the room. It's the quiet understanding that crossing you has consequences. Consequences you never have to enforce twice. Love is fragile. It needs constant feeding, validation, affection, reassurance. Exhausting, unreliable. Fear is durable. One clear boundary, one enforced consequence, and the message sticks. Not because they're terrified of you, but because they respect what you won't tolerate. Think of someone you'd never dream of disrespecting. Why? Chances are, there's an edge of fear there. Not of violence, but of loss. Loss of respect. Loss of access. Loss of standing. That's the fear ruthless people cultivate. Controlled, professional, unemotional. Machiavelli observed, men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. People respond to immediate consequences faster than future rewards. Fear triggers survival instincts. It creates instant behavioral change. Trust takes months to build, and one betrayal to shatter. Fear, one moment of clarity, and the lesson lasts years. This isn't about intimidation. It's about consistency. Set a line. Enforce it. Calmly. Once. Never again. Word spreads. Behavior adjusts. Your reputation does the work for you. Imagine someone chronically late to your meetings. Most people sigh, reschedule, complain to co-workers. The Ruthless? One conversation. Your lateness disrupts my schedule. It won't happen again. No anger. No drama, just fact. And it stops. Because that person just learned the cost of disrespect. That single moment ripples outward. Others hear. They adjust preemptively. You've established a standard without lifting a finger. Fear isn't cruelty. It's clarity. It's the refusal to let disrespect slide, even once. Most people are all talk. They threaten consequences, then cave. They complain about boundaries, then apologize for enforcing them. The Ruthless do the opposite. They say less and follow through more. That consistency builds a presence that walks into rooms before they do. Drop this in the comments. Respect through boundaries. Carve it into your mindset, because every unenforced boundary is a brick removed from your fortress. Predictability is prison. When people know exactly how you'll react, they own you. They push your buttons, trigger your guilt, steer you like a remote-controlled car. Ruthless people refuse to be read. They refuse to be mapped. They keep you guessing. And that uncertainty is their leverage. Silence is their sharpest weapon. When you don't react, people panic. They fill the void with their own fears, doubts, insecurities. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They project their guilt onto your calm. And in that chaos, you hold all the power. Most people can't handle silence. They rush to explain, defend, justify, spilling secrets with every syllable. Every word reveals their position. Every reaction shows their hand. But when you stay silent, you collect intelligence. You watch them unravel themselves. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past." The word broken is a necessity of the present. Translation: don't be chained by expectations. Past behavior doesn't dictate future choices. Keep them off balance. Sometimes you're generous. Sometimes you're distant. Sometimes you forgive. Sometimes you walk away. No pattern. No predictability. That uncertainty keeps rivals hesitant, allies attentive, opponents second-guessing. How to practice this? Stop being perpetually available. Don't reply to every message instantly. Don't be the person who always answers the phone, always says yes, always reacts the same way. Introduce randomness. Respond fast sometimes. Wait days, others. Be warm today, cool tomorrow. This isn't gamesmanship. It's self-defense. When they can't predict you, they can't manipulate you. Silence and unpredictability are twin blades. Silence creates space for their imagination to run wild. Unpredictability ensures that imagination never lands on truth. And in that fog, you move freely. Watch how truly powerful people handle conflict. They don't snap, don't defend, don't scramble to explain. They pause, let the silence stretch, let tension build. Then, on their timeline, in their framing, they respond. That pause isn't weakness, it's dominance. The next time someone tries to provoke you, don't take the bait. Breathe, wait, let them squirm. Let them fill the void with their own anxiety. Then, when you're ready, respond on your terms. That's not passivity, that's precision. That's power wearing silence like armor. Drop this in the comments. Silence is power. Say it until you believe it. Because the moment you stop reacting, you start controlling. Power isn't just what you do. It's what people believe you're capable of doing. It's the aura that enters the room before you do. The reputation that precedes you. The unspoken understanding that crossing you comes at a price. Ruthless people don't beg for attention. They build presence. Deliberately, strategically, relentlessly. Every word, every gesture, every decision reinforces the image they've chosen to project. And once that image solidifies, it becomes reality. Think of the person who walks into a room and everyone straightens up, not because they shout, not because they're the CEO, but because their presence commands recalibration. That's not magic. That's construction. Presence is built on 3 pillars. First, consistency. Say what you mean. Mean what you say. Set a boundary. Enforce it. Make a promise. Keep it. People learn fast who can be ignored and who can't. Be the latter. Second, mystique. Don't reveal everything. Don't over-explain. Leave gaps. Let people wonder. The unknown is always more intimidating than the known. Third, composure. Never let them see you rattled. Never beg for approval. Never betray desperation. Your emotional stability becomes your shield. Machiavelli warned, one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. But here's the twist. You're not deceiving. You're curating, presenting the version of yourself that serves your purpose. That's not dishonesty. That's strategy. Everyone does it, unconsciously. The ruthless do it deliberately. Think of your social media. You don't post your breakdowns, your failures, your messy moments. You curate. Now apply that intentionality to real life. The ruthless don't waste energy controlling every variable. They build a presence so formidable that people control themselves around them. They create an atmosphere where disrespect feels dangerous. Not because of threat, but because of certainty. Crucially, your presence must align with your actions. If you project uncompromising standards, then compromise constantly. Your presence collapses. If you cultivate strategic brilliance, then make impulsive decisions, no one takes you seriously. The persona isn't a mask. It's an amplified, focused expression of your core. And once established, it runs on autopilot. Your reputation spreads, stories get told. New people respect you before they meet you. That's efficiency. That's power working while you sleep. Drop this in the comments. Presence over force. Tattoo it on your psyche. Because force demands constant exertion. Presence, it just exists, and the world bends around it. Emotions are landmines, beautiful, human, necessary. But if you let them steer, they'll blow you up. Ruthless people feel everything: rage, fear, grief, longing. But they don't let those feelings hijack the wheel. They observe emotions like weather patterns. Storms pass. Skies clear. You don't cancel the mission because it's raining. You adjust. You prepare. You wait it out. Most people are emotional puppets. Yank the right string. Pride, guilt, insecurity. And they dance exactly as you want. Insult their ego. They explode. Threaten their safety. They panic. Play to their guilt. They fold. Pathetic. Predictable. Easy. But when you're emotionally detached, those strings snap. You can't be baited, can't be shamed, can't be guilt-tripped because you've made peace with discomfort. You've accepted worst-case scenarios. You don't need their approval to breathe. Every emotion is data. Anger says, boundary crossed. Fear says, danger ahead. Sadness says, something lost. Useful signals, not marching orders. Suppression ignores the signal. Mastery receives it, processes it, then chooses the logical response. Machiavelli cut deep. Hatred is gained as much by good works as by evil. You can't control whether people like you. Their emotions are their burden, not your compass. So why let their reactions dictate your choices? Why sacrifice your goals to manage their comfort? Emotions are tools. Use them. Don't be used by them. Feel anger when it fuels decisive action. Feel compassion when it builds vital alliances. Feel fear when it sharpens preparation. But never, ever, let emotion make the final call. Think of your last emotional decision. How did it age? Probably poorly. Clouded judgment. Short-term thinking. Regret. Now think of your best decisions. The ones that changed your life. Calm, rational, clear-eyed. Coincidence? No. Strategy. The emotionally mastered become untouchable. You can't hurt them because they don't take things personally. Can't scare them because they've already faced the abyss. Can't shame them because they don't need your stamp of approval. That's freedom. Real, terrifying freedom. Next time emotion surges, pause. Don't react. Observe. Where do you feel it? What triggered it? What is it trying to tell you? And crucially, will acting on it serve your long-term interests? 90% of the time, no. That pause, that breath, is where you reclaim power from your biology. Drop this in the comments. Logic over emotion. Repeat it until it rewires your reflexes. Because the moment you master your emotions, you master your destiny. Legacy isn't carved in stone. It's whispered in boardrooms decades later. It's the name that still makes people lower their voices. The strategy that gets taught in business schools. The reputation that outlives your body. Ruthless power doesn't care about fleeting victories. It builds monuments in the minds of those who come after. Machiavelli didn't just write a book. He built an echo that's still vibrating 5 centuries later. People still debate him, still fear him, still learn from him. That's not infamy. That's immortality. Most people think in days. Deadlines, paychecks, weekend plans. The ruthless think in decades. They build systems, not wins. They plant trees whose shade they'll never sit under. They understand. Real power compounds. One disciplined decision today becomes an unshakable reputation tomorrow. One enforced boundary becomes a legend next year. Legacy isn't about being liked. It's about being remembered. Effectively, strategically, unavoidably. History doesn't crown the kindest. It remembers the consequential. The ones who bent reality, who changed rules, who moved mountains while others complained about the weather. Think of the most powerful figures you admire. Were they universally adored? Rarely. Were they respected? Absolutely. Were they effective? Undeniably. That's the trade-off. You can be popular, or you can be powerful. Sometimes you get both. But if forced to choose, the ruthless pick power every time. And when they're gone, their influence lingers. Their methods get studied. Their names become shorthand for strategic brilliance. That's the legacy of ruthless power. Not warm memories, but cold, hard impact. Building this requires patience, consistency, uncompromising adherence to core principles. Even when it costs you. Even when critics scream. Even when the easy path glitters. Ask yourself, what do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? Not to your face, behind your back. Relentless, unshakable, brilliant, dangerous to cross. Whatever the word, build it daily. Every decision either reinforces that image or erodes it. There is no neutral. You're building your legacy right now, intentionally or by default. The ruthless maintain theirs through mystery. They never reveal all their cards, never explain all their moves. They keep people guessing, and that uncertainty becomes part of their myth. They maintain power through selective displays of strength, not constant aggression, but calculated demonstrations. One perfectly timed move, one unanswerable response, one boundary enforced without flinch. Those moments become stories. Stories become reputation. Reputation becomes legacy. Machiavelli wrote, "There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you." Translation: build a reputation for valuing brutal honesty over comforting lies, for facing reality, however ugly, without blinking. That reputation becomes armor. It attracts allies who value truth, repels sycophants who trade flattery for access. Most people miss this. Legacy isn't about warmth. It's about weight. The ruthless aren't trying to win hugs. They're trying to shape outcomes. build empires, change systems. Your legacy starts today. Every boundary you enforce, every emotional reaction you suppress, every strategic silence you hold, every time you choose long-term power over short-term comfort, you're laying another brick. The question isn't whether you'll leave a legacy. You will. The only question is, what will it be? Drop this in the comments. I build legacies. Say it like a king laying foundation stones. Because you are. Right now, with every choice. Patience isn't passive, it's precision. Most people confuse ruthlessness with recklessness. Thinking power means striking first, loudest, hardest. That's not ruthless. That's desperate. True ruthlessness is the ability to sit in discomfort, to absorb temporary losses, to watch perfect opportunities pass, because the timing isn't right. And then, when the moment aligns, when the variables click, when success is mathematically inevitable, strike with such surgical precision that the game ends in one move. Impatient people burn out. They waste energy on unwinnable battles, reveal their hand too early, show their desperation. And the ruthless, they watch, they wait, they let the impatient exhaust themselves, then step in and claim what's left. Patience is the invisible blade. It doesn't look dangerous, doesn't feel threatening. It just waits until everyone else has made their mistakes, exposed their weaknesses, created the exact opening needed. Timing is everything. The same action at the wrong moment fails. At the right moment, it becomes legend. Ruthless people feel this in their bones. They study rhythms, read currents, sense the subtle shifts in power, mood, opportunity. Think of a lion. Doesn't chase every gazelle, doesn't waste energy on impossible hunts. Waits, watches, conserves strength. And when the perfect target stumbles, isolated, distracted, vulnerable, strikes fast, decisive, overwhelming. That's not cruelty. That's efficiency. Machiavelli wrote, "God is not willing to do everything and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us." Opportunities exist, but seizing them demands perfect timing. Too early? You fail. Too late? Someone else wins. Just right? You look unstoppable. Here's patience in practice. Someone disrespects you. Your ego screams for immediate revenge. Patience whispers, wait, gather intel, map their vulnerabilities, let them forget, let them get comfortable, and when they're exposed, when they least expect it, respond in a way they never see coming. That's not passivity, that's strategy. Chess masters don't move constantly. They sit, calculate, wait for the opponent to create the weakness they can exploit. Life is identical. Most people react to every provocation, every insult, every challenge, always moving, but never advancing. The ruthless observe, let others make mistakes, and when the moment arrives, one move changes everything. This patience demands emotional mastery. Your ego wants blood now. Your pride demands instant justice. Your fear craves immediate safety. Patience says, no, not yet. Wait for maximum impact. Wait for the move they won't anticipate. And when that moment comes, strike with everything. No hesitation, no mercy, no second guessing. The time for waiting is over. The time for execution has arrived. And because you waited, because you prepared, because you timed it perfectly, victory is inevitable. That's the difference between power and posturing. Posturing is constant noise with zero impact. Power is strategic silence, followed by undeniable force. Most people quit too early. They crave instant results, immediate gratification. Overnight success, that impatience makes them predictable, exploitable, ultimately irrelevant. The ruthless play the long game. They know real power compounds. Temporary setbacks, inconsequential. Lost battles, acceptable, as long as they're winning the war. Drop this in the comments. Patience is strategy. Burn it into your nervous system. Because the moment you master timing, you master outcomes. Let's return to where we began, with the power you fear. The silent kind, the patient kind, the kind that doesn't ask permission. It takes what it wants while you're still formulating polite objections. This power lives in stillness, in calculation, in moves so precise, so quiet, most people never see them coming. It operates from emotional freedom, where guilt, fear, and approval seeking no longer cloud judgment. It builds presence without begging for attention, commands respect through unbreakable boundaries, influences without leaving fingerprints. Machiavelli wasn't teaching evil. He was teaching awareness. He was holding up a mirror to human nature, showing the gears grinding beneath the surface of polite society. Power exists, whether you acknowledge it or not. And the choice isn't between good and bad. It's between powerful and powerless. You don't have to become ruthless, but you must understand ruthlessness, because those who do will always dominate those who pretend the game doesn't exist. Look around your life right now. Who holds power over you? Who controls your emotions? Who manipulates your decisions? Who crosses your boundaries without consequence? These aren't abstract questions. These are real people, creating real limitations in your life. The question isn't whether these tactics work. They do. History proves it. Every empire, every dynasty, every transformative leader used some version of these principles. The only question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you stay vulnerable, hoping kindness is enough in a world full of sharks? Or will you develop the awareness, the strategy, the presence to protect yourself and pursue your goals without apology? The ruthless power you fear, it's already here, operating in your workplace, your relationships, every competitive space you enter. Others are already using these principles. The only question is, will you learn them too? The world doesn't reward fairness. It rewards effectiveness, doesn't care about your intentions, cares about your results, doesn't ask if you're a good person, asks if you're a powerful one. Before you go, if this opened your eyes to something you've been avoiding, hit like. If you know someone drowning in kindness while sharks circle, share this with them. They need to see it. And if you want more content that cuts through comforting lies, that tells you the uncomfortable truths about power, psychology, and human nature, subscribe. We don't sugarcoat reality here. We face it head on. We talk about what works, not what should work. The ruthless power you were afraid to face, you just faced it. Now the question is, will you master it, or will you let it master you? The choice was always yours. Make it count. Now let's go deeper, beyond theory, into anatomy. What does ruthless power actually look like in motion? Not in books, not in quotes, in flesh and blood, in boardrooms, in negotiations, in everyday interactions where power shifts, hands without a word being spoken. Picture this. Two executives walk into a meeting. One talks constantly, interrupting, explaining, justifying, filling every silence with nervous energy. The other speaks only when necessary, listens more than they talk, never reacts to provocations, never chases credit. When they do speak, everyone leans in. Why? Because the first person is broadcasting insecurity. The second, broadcasting control. Ruthless power doesn't need volume. It needs vacuum. Silence creates space, and space creates tension. Tension creates opportunity. The person who controls silence controls the room. Watch courtroom lawyers. The best ones don't shout, don't grandstand. They ask one devastating question, then stop talking. Let the silence stretch. Let the witness squirm. Let the jury imagine worst-case scenarios. That's not luck. That's design. Ruthless power understands. Information asymmetry is the ultimate advantage. Whoever holds more information holds more power. Talking gives away information. Listening collects it. So the ruthless listen, observe, absorb, while others chatter away their leverage. Machiavelli knew this. A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, not to copy them, but to understand their patterns, their rhythms, their silences. Because power isn't loud, it's pattern recognition. It's seeing the chessboard 3 moves ahead, while others are still reacting to the last pawn push. Apply this tomorrow, in your next meeting, your next negotiation, your next difficult conversation. Don't rush to fill silence. Don't explain yourself unless absolutely necessary. Don't react to bait. Just pause, breathe, let them sweat. Let them reveal themselves. The moment you stop performing, you start controlling. Drop this in the comments. I control the silence. Say it until it becomes instinct. Because the moment you master silence, you master dynamics. Now let's dismantle the biggest lie sold to high achievers, that burnout is a badge of honor, that exhaustion equals dedication, that if you're not collapsing at the end of the day, you're not working hard enough. Ruthless people laugh at this. They know true power isn't measured in hours logged, but in outcomes achieved. They conserve energy like elite athletes. They don't waste effort on unwinnable battles. Don't chase every opportunity. Don't respond to every provocation. They wait. They calculate. They strike only when victory is assured. Most people operate at 100% intensity, 100% of the time, and wonder why they crash by 3 p.m. The ruthless?
They operate at 20% until the critical moment.
Then 1,000%. That's not laziness. That's leverage. Think of a sniper. Doesn't fire constantly. Doesn't spray bullets, hoping to hit something. Waits. Breathes. Calculates wind, distance, movement. And when the shot presents itself, 1 bullet, 1 kill. Efficiency isn't sexy, but it's unstoppable. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." Translation, don't be chained by sunk costs. Past effort doesn't obligate future sacrifice. If a project, relationship, or goal no longer serves your purpose, walk away without guilt, without explanation. That's not quitting. That's strategic reallocation. Ruthless power knows energy is finite. Attention is currency. Spend it only where ROI is guaranteed. How to practice this? Audit your commitments. Which drain you without return? Which demand constant maintenance for minimal reward? Cut them ruthlessly, not tomorrow, today. Every yes you give is a no to something more important. The ruthless say no constantly, so they can say hell yes to what matters. Drop this in the comments. I conserve my power. Repeat it like a mantra, because conservation isn't weakness. It's weaponization. Most people think influence requires constant visibility. Posts, updates, meetings, appearances. The ruthless know better. Influence thrives in absence. The less you're seen, the more your presence is felt. Think of gravity. Can't see it, can't touch it, but it moves planets. That's the power of strategic invisibility. Be present enough to matter, absent enough to mystify. Let people wonder, speculate, fill gaps with their own assumptions. The unknown is always more powerful than the known. Machiavelli understood. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Perception. Reality. So curate your visibility. Show up when it serves your purpose. Disappear when it doesn't. Let your absence create demand. Let your silence amplify your words. Let your scarcity increase your value. This isn't gamesmanship, it's economics. Supply and demand apply to attention too. Flood the market, you become background noise. Restrict supply, you become essential. Drop this in the comments. I am scarce by design. Say it until you believe it. Because abundance devalues, scarcity sanctifies. Now let's talk about the most misunderstood tool in the ruthless arsenal: generosity. Not the performative kind. Public donations, loud charity, virtue signaling. The strategic kind, the kind that builds unbreakable loyalty, creates lifelong debt, turns enemies into allies. Ruthless generosity isn't about kindness. It's about investment. Give when it costs you little, but means everything to the recipient. Help someone when they're truly stuck, not when they're mildly inconvenienced. Be the solution no one sees coming, and they'll never forget you. Machiavelli warned, benefits should be granted little by little, so that they may be better enjoyed. Translation: drip feed value. Create dependency. Make yourself indispensable, not through force but through irreplaceability. The ruthless don't give to be liked. They give to be owed. And debts of gratitude? More binding than contracts. Drop this in the comments. I give to own. Whisper it. Because strategic generosity isn't altruism, it's architecture.